Hello guys, welcome to Ben 10 What If. So in this video, we will see what if Ben 10 was in the DC universe, Ben 10 vs Justice League. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Worlds Apart. The Omnitrix flashed green, bathing Bellwood in its distinctive light as Ben slammed his hand down on the watch face. The familiar rush of transformation energy coursed through him, rearranging his DNA. XLR8. Ben shouted as the transformation completed. His voice had the mechanical rasp characteristic of the Kineceleran alien form. The black and blue speedster alien with wheels for feet looked at the swirling dimensional portal that was growing larger above the city center. Time to see what's causing all this trouble. At 18, Ben Tennyson had been through his share of alien invasions, but this one felt different. The sky rippled with purple energy as the portal expanded, and the civilians of Bellwood ran in panic. Where were Gwen and Kevin when he needed them? Off at college, of course. Just his luck to be handling this solo. XLR8 zoomed through the streets, weaving between cars and confused pedestrians. His visor slid down over his face as he picked up speed. The wind resistance was nothing to a Kineceleran. He skidded to a stop at the base of the portal, looking up at the alien figure emerging from its center. "Whoever you are, vacation season's over," Ben called out. Bellwood's closed to interdimensional tourists today. The alien hovering at the center of the portal was humanoid but with translucent skin that seemed to shift between different planes of existence. It had 4 arms and a head that occasionally phased in and out of visibility. The Omnitrix. The creature's voice echoed as if coming from multiple directions at once. "Give it to me, and your dimension will be spared." Yeah. You and every other power-hungry alien in the galaxy." XLR8 circled the base of the portal, building momentum. "Get some new material." Ben shot straight up the side of a building and launched himself at the alien. The creature phased partially, causing Ben to pass through its midsection, but he managed to grab one of its solid arms and pulled. The alien roared, the portal fluctuating wildly around them. "Tennyson. You don't understand what you're interfering with," the alien growled, all 4 arms now solidifying to grapple with XLR8. "The walls between realities are weakening. I need the Omnitrix to stabilize, save it for someone who hasn't heard every excuse in the book." Ben cut him off, struggling in the alien's grip. The Omnitrix symbol on his chest blinked, warning of an impending timeout. Great timing as always. With a final burst of speed, XLR8 spun himself free and aimed a kick at what appeared to be a device on the alien's belt. His foot connected, and the device cracked. Immediately, the portal began to collapse in on itself. "No. You fool." The alien desperately tried to repair the device. "The dimensional coordinates are scrambling." The portal's purple energy swirled faster, creating a vacuum effect. XLR8 dug his wheels into the concrete, but the pull was too strong. In a flash of red light, the Omnitrix timed out, leaving Ben in his human form, and with no way to resist the portal's pull. "Ah, man!" Ben yelled as he was lifted off his feet. He fumbled with the Omnitrix, trying to get it to recharge faster. "Come on, just one more transformation." The alien gave him one last look of fury. "You've doomed us both, Tennyson." The portal collapsed inward, sucking both Ben and the alien into its swirling vortex. Ben felt his body stretching, compressing, twisting through dimensions he couldn't comprehend. Colors he'd never seen flashed before his eyes. His ears popped with pressure changes, and his lungs burned from lack of oxygen. Then, just as suddenly as it began, it ended. Ben crashed hard onto solid ground, rolling several times before coming to a stop on his back. His head spun as he gasped for breath, staring up at a clear blue sky, not the purple vortex he'd been fighting beneath moments ago. "Okay," he groaned, sitting up slowly. That wasn't so, the words died in his throat as he took in his surroundings. Gone were the familiar buildings of Bellwood. Instead, he found himself in the middle of a bustling metropolis with skyscrapers that dwarfed anything in his hometown. A massive golden globe sat atop the tallest building, with the word Daily Planet wrapped around it. "I'm definitely not in Bellwood anymore," Ben muttered, getting to his feet. People walked past, some giving him curious glances but most hurrying on their way. Their clothes, the cars on the street, the technology, everything looked similar to his world, but somehow, different. The Omnitrix beeped, fully recharged. At least that was working normally. Ben ducked into an alley to get his bearings, checking the watch for any sign of damage. The familiar green glow looked stable, but something about the energy signature felt off. A television in an electronics store window across the street caught his attention. The news was showing footage of a man in a blue suit and red cape lifting an entire bridge section while construction crews worked beneath him. "Superman continues his assistance with the Harbor Bridge reconstruction project," the newscaster was saying. Meanwhile, reports indicate that Batman and Robin have successfully apprehended the Riddler after his latest crime spree in Gotham City. Ben's jaw dropped. "Superman? Batman?" He shook his head in disbelief. "No way. I'm in a comic book." A scream from down the street interrupted his thoughts. People were running from a building where smoke had started pouring out of the windows. Without hesitation, Ben activated the Omnitrix, cycling through his alien roster. "Hero time doesn't take a dimensional vacation," he said, slamming down on the watch face. Green light enveloped him as his body transformed. "Water hazard," Ben called out as the transformation completed. The red, armored alien form with water-shooting capabilities would be perfect for a fire. Ben rushed toward the burning building, using Water Hazard's abilities to shoot pressurized water at the flames visible through the windows. People were still streaming out the front doors in panic. "Is anyone still inside?" Ben called to a woman who had just exited. She stared at him in shock, apparently more startled by his alien appearance than by the fire. "And my daughter?" "Third floor." Ben nodded and directed his water jets at the ground, propelling himself up to a third-floor window. The glass shattered as he crashed through, landing in a smoke-filled hallway. "Hello? Anyone here?" he called out, moving through the smoke. His armored body protected him from the heat, but visibility was poor. "I'm here to help." A child's cough guided him to a small bedroom where a girl of about 7 was huddled under her bed. She screamed when she saw him. "It's okay." Ben tried to sound reassuring, which wasn't easy with Water Hazard's voice. "I'm here to get you out. Your mom sent me." The girl hesitated, then reached out a hand. Ben gently pulled her from under the bed and cradled her against his chest, using one arm to create a shield of water around them. "Hold on tight, kid. We're taking the express elevator down." Ben jumped back through the window, controlling their descent with carefully aimed water jets. They landed safely, and he handed the child to her tearful mother. "Thank you," the woman said, holding her daughter tightly. What are you?" Before Ben could answer, a rush of wind nearly knocked him off his feet. Standing before him was the same man he'd seen on the television, blue suit, red cape, and an S symbol on his chest. Superman. The real Superman. "I don't believe we've met," Superman said, his voice firm but not immediately hostile. His eyes studied Ben's alien form carefully. "Are you responsible for this fire?" "What?" "No." Ben raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "I was just helping put it out." The Omnitrix symbol on his chest started beeping. "Great timing," Ben muttered as a red flash returned him to human form. The crowd gasped as the armored alien disappeared, replaced by a teenager in jeans, sneakers, and a green jacket. Superman's eyes widened in surprise. "You're just a kid." "I get that a lot," Ben said, trying to sound casual while facing an actual superhero. "Look, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think I'm from another dimension." There was this portal, and a woman in the crowd pointed to the sky. Look! Another one. Ben turned to see a green flash as a new figure crashed down from above, landing hard enough to crack the pavement. It was the dimensional alien he'd been fighting, but it looked injured and unstable, its form flickering between visibility and transparency. Tennyson, it snarled, its voice distorting. What have you done? Where have you sent us? I didn't do anything. You're the one who opened the portal. Ben activated the Omnitrix again, cycling through his aliens as the creature lunged toward him. Superman moved with incredible speed, placing himself between Ben and the alien. That's enough. Both of you, stand down. The dimensional alien ignored him, one of its arms passing right through Superman's chest as it reached for Ben. The Omnitrix is the only way back. Give it to me. Ben slammed down on the watch face. Diamond Head. His body transformed into the crystalline alien form. Hard, green crystal replaced skin and muscle as he grew taller and broader. The transformation completed just as the dimensional alien's claws would have reached his chest. Back off! Ben shouted, forming his arm into a sharp crystal blade that forced the alien to retreat a step. I don't want to hurt you, but I will if I have to. Superman looked between them, clearly trying to assess the situation. I don't know what's happening here, but this ends now before civilians get hurt. The dimensional alien snarled, its body flickering more violently now. Fools! This universe is destroying my molecular structure. Without the Omnitrix to stabilize me, it convulsed suddenly, its body rippling with energy. Ben realized what was about to happen a second before it did. Everyone get back, he shouted, forming his crystal body into a protective shield between the alien and the crowd. Superman, that thing's going to. The alien exploded in a blast of purple energy, the dimensional force of the explosion knocking everyone back. Ben's crystal body absorbed most of the impact, but the force still sent him flying into the side of a car. Superman had managed to shield most of the civilians, moving faster than Ben could track. As the dust settled, Ben got to his feet, shaking crystal shards from his arms. That could have gone better. Superman approached him cautiously. You seem to know what that creature was. Sort of, Ben admitted. We were fighting in my dimension when its portal device broke. Next thing I know, I'm here in. Ben hesitated. Where exactly am I, anyway? Metropolis, Superman answered, still watching him carefully. And you are? Ben Tennyson. Ben straightened up, the Omnitrix symbol gleaming on his chest. And yes, I'm human. This is just one of my alien forms. Superman's eyes narrowed slightly. One of them? How many do you have? Before Ben could answer, the air rippled again, and a swirling breach opened several feet above the street. Ben tensed, ready for another fight, but instead of an alien, a red-suited man with a lightning bolt emblem stepped through. Hey, Supes. Got your alert about, whoa. The Flash skidded to a stop, staring at Diamond Head. New friend? We're still determining that, Superman said. This is Ben Tennyson. He claims to be from another dimension. Not claiming. Actually am, Ben corrected, then looked at Flash. So you guys really are the Justice League? This isn't some weird dream. Flash grinned. In the flesh. Well, I am. Not sure what you're made of currently. Petrosapien crystal, Ben said automatically. At their confused looks, he shrugged his crystalline shoulders. That's what this alien species is called. A sleek black jet roared overhead, descending to hover above the street. Ben recognized it immediately from comics he'd read growing up, the Batwing. A dark figure dropped from it, cape billowing as Batman landed in a crouch before straightening to his full height. The watchtower detected dimensional energy spikes, Batman said, his voice gravelly. His white lenses focused on Ben. Is this the source? Partly, Superman explained. There was another creature that just destabilized. Batman approached Ben, utterly fearless despite facing a 7-foot crystal being. Who are you? What's that symbol on your chest? The Omnitrix chose that moment to time out again, leaving Ben in his human form facing the 3 Justice League members. Flash whistled. Okay, that's a neat trick, he said. Ben held up his wrist, showing the Omnitrix. This is the Omnitrix. It lets me transform into different alien species. I got it when I was 10. Been fighting bad guys with it ever since. Batman's expression didn't change. And we should believe you because I just helped save a kid from a burning building? Ben suggested. Look, I don't want trouble. I just want to figure out how to get back to my dimension. The energy signature from his transformation matches what the Watchtower detected, Superman said to Batman. But it's different from the other dimensional anomalies we've been tracking. Batman didn't take his eyes off Ben. We should bring him in. Have Cyborg analyze that device. Whoa, hold on. Ben took a step back. Nobody's bringing me in anywhere. I haven't done anything wrong. It's not about wrong, Superman explained. It's about understanding what's happening. Dimensional breaches aren't something we take lightly. And we need to make sure that device is safe, Batman added, nodding toward the Omnitrix. Ben laughed. Yeah, good luck with that. The Omnitrix is literally bonded to my DNA. It can't be removed without killing me. Flash raised an eyebrow. Sounds like someone really didn't want it getting stolen. You have no idea, Ben muttered. Batman tapped something on his gauntlet. Cyborg, prepare the lab at the Hall of Justice. We're bringing in someone you'll want to meet. Ben looked between the 3 heroes, weighing his options. If this really was the DC universe, these were the good guys. Maybe they could help him get home. And honestly, what choice did he have? Fine, he finally said. I'll come with you. But the Omnitrix stays on my wrist. Superman nodded. We just want information, Ben. Not your technology. Great. Flash clapped his hands. Road trip to the Hall of Justice. I can run him there if, Batman cut him off. He rides with me. Always the fun police, Flash sighed. Ben found himself escorted to the Batwing, very aware of the crowd watching and filming everything on their phones. Superman stayed behind to help with the fire while Flash sipped away in a blur of red. So, Ben said as Batman guided him toward the aircraft. Is Robin as short in person as he looks on TV? Batman's expression didn't change as he pressed a button to open the cockpit. Get in. Not much for jokes, are you? Ben muttered, climbing into the passenger seat. Just like in the comics. The ride to the Hall of Justice gave Ben a spectacular view of Metropolis, with its gleaming skyscrapers and bustling streets. It was both familiar and alien, a modern American city, but with impossible technology and architecture that spoke of futuristic advancements. Batman remained silent throughout most of the journey, occasionally asking short, direct questions about the Omnitrix and how Ben had acquired it. Ben found himself answering truthfully, describing his first encounter with the device at age 10 and his years of experience since. So you've been a hero since you were a child, Batman finally commented. Pretty much, Ben said. Runs in the family, I guess. My grandpa was a plumber, an intergalactic police force, he clarified at Batman's slight head tilt. My cousin Gwen has magical powers. My best friend Kevin can absorb materials. We make a good team. And they're all back in your dimension. Ben nodded, a pang of worry hitting him. Yeah. Along with my parents. They're probably freaking out right now. Batman's expression softened almost imperceptibly. We'll figure out what happened, Ben. The League has experience with dimensional travel. The Batwing descended toward a magnificent building that Ben recognized as the Hall of Justice. Its curved architecture and grand entrance were unmistakable. Several tourists outside pointed up at them as Batman landed the aircraft on a designated pad. "Try not to transform unless absolutely necessary," Batman instructed as they exited. "Some of our security systems react automatically to unknown alien presences." "Got it," Ben agreed. "Though just so you know, the Omnitrix sometimes has a mind of its own." That earned him another of Batman's narrow-eyed looks. Inside, the hall was even more impressive. High ceilings, marble floors, and displays of past missions and memorabilia. Ben couldn't help gawking like a tourist. "Dude, is that Starro?" he asked, pointing to a preserved specimen in a container. "Focus," Batman said, guiding him deeper into the facility. They passed through several security checkpoints, each more advanced than the last, until they reached what appeared to be a laboratory. Inside, a half-man, half-machine figure was working at a holographic console. "Cyborg, I presume?" Ben said as they entered. Cyborg turned, his human eye widening slightly as he took in Ben. "You weren't kidding about bringing in someone interesting." His cybernetic eye glowed as it scanned Ben. "That's some serious tech on your wrist." "The Omnitrix," Ben explained. "Basically the most powerful device in my universe." "Bold claim," said a female voice. Wonder Woman stepped into the lab, her expression cautious but not hostile. "Batman has informed us of your situation." Flash appeared in a blur of red. "I gave everyone the Cliff Notes version. Kid from another dimension, fancy watch, turns into aliens." Ben was starting to feel like a specimen under glass with all the scrutiny. "Look, I appreciate you not immediately throwing me in a cell, but can someone tell me what's going on? How did I end up here, and more importantly, how do I get back?" Cyborg turned back to his console, bringing up a display of energy readings. "We detected a dimensional breach in Metropolis approximately 90 minutes ago. Actually, we've been tracking similar energy signatures for the past week, but they've been smaller, more contained. Someone's been poking holes between dimensions," Flash simplified. "The alien I was fighting," Ben realized. "He said something about the walls between realities weakening." Batman moved to the console, studying the data. What was he trying to accomplish? "He wanted the Omnitrix," Ben said. "He said he needed it to stabilize something. I thought he was just another alien trying to steal it. I get that a lot, but maybe he actually needed it for the dimensional tech." "The Omnitrix contains DNA from thousands of alien species," Batman explained to the others. "According to Ben." 10,000 and counting, Ben corrected, then shrugged at their surprised looks. "What? I've been doing this for 8 years. Cyborg whistled. "Man, the research applications alone. Which is why every villain in 10 galaxies has tried to get their hands on it," Ben said grimly. "Including my archenemy, Vilgax." Wonder Woman approached, her expression thoughtful. "This device, it transforms you completely. Not just an outward appearance." Ben nodded. "Total DNA reconfiguration. I become the alien species, with all their abilities." "Show us," Batman said. Ben hesitated, glancing around the lab with its sensitive equipment. "You sure about that?" "We have containment protocols," Cyborg assured him. "Just maybe pick something that won't blow up the place." "Fair enough." Ben activated the Omnitrix, cycling through the alien roster. "How about something simple to start?" He selected an alien and slammed down on the watch face. Green light enveloped him as his body shrunk and transformed. "Gray matter," Ben announced, now a 6-inch-tall gray alien with large eyes and a disproportionately large head. "Galvan. Super intelligent species. Creators of the Omnitrix, actually." The League members stared in amazement. Flash bent down to get a better look. "Dude, you're like a little gray gremlin." "Galvan," Ben corrected in his high-pitched gray matter voice. "My intelligence in this form is exponentially higher than human capacity." He scurried over to Cyborg's console and leaped onto it, tiny fingers flying across the holographic interface. For instance, I can see that your dimensional breach detector is calibrated to standard bleed energy, but the breach that brought me here was operating on a completely different frequency. Cyborg looked impressed. He's right. The energy signature doesn't match our previous records. Ben continued analyzing the data, his Galvan brain processing information at incredible speeds. The breach that brought me here was unstable. The coordinates were scrambled mid-transit. That's why the other alien destabilized, his molecular structure couldn't adapt to this universe's physical laws. But you survived, Batman observed. The Omnitrix protected me, Ben explained. It adapts to different environmental conditions. Part of its survival protocols. Wonder Woman crossed her arms. Impressive technology. Ben kept working, adjusting parameters on the dimensional scanner. Based on these readings, I think the breach left a trace energy signature. If we can isolate it, we might be able to. The Omnitrix symbol on his back started beeping. A moment later, Ben was back in his human form, now sitting cross-legged on the console. Sorry, he said, sliding down. Time limit. Still working on that. Your transformation contained DNA sequences I've never encountered, Cyborg said, looking at the readings his systems had gathered. And I've encountered a lot of aliens. Ben shrugged. Different universe, different aliens, I guess. Batman turned to Wonder Woman. Contact Zatanna and Dr. Fate. We need magical insight on dimensional travel. Already done, she replied. Fate is investigating similar disturbances in Salem. A holographic screen activated on the far wall, displaying Superman's face. Batman, we have a situation. There's been another dimensional breach, larger than the last one. Something came through. Ben felt a chill. Where? Coast City, Superman answered. Green Lantern is responding, but he reports the entity is heavily armed and asking for someone called Tennyson. Ben's face paled. No. No way he followed me here. Who? Batman demanded. Vilgax, Ben said, activating the Omnitrix again. We need to go. Now. Hold on, Flash said. Who's Vilgax? The worst of the worst, Ben explained, cycling through aliens. Conquered 10 worlds. Has been trying to get the Omnitrix for years. If he's here, people are going to die. Batman nodded sharply. League members, prepare for deployment. Ben, you're with me. No time, Ben said, selecting an alien. I need to get there fast. He transformed in a flash of green light, his body stretching and changing into a blue and black moth-like alien with large wings. Big Chill, his raspy voice announced. I can get there on my own. This form can fly at supersonic speeds and turn intangible. We go together, Superman insisted from the screen. This is our world, Ben. Ben nodded his large, moth-like head. Fine. But we need to hurry. You don't know what Vilgax is capable of. Within minutes, the Justice League had mobilized. Superman and Big Chill flew toward Coast City, while Batman, Wonder Woman, and Flash took the Javelin. Cyborg stayed behind to coordinate and monitor the dimensional energy. As they approached Coast City, Ben saw smoke rising from several buildings. Emergency vehicles were already on scene, and a green energy barrier had been erected around part of the downtown area. That's Green Lantern's work, Superman explained as they descended. He's containing the threat. Inside the barrier, Ben could make out a familiar imposing figure. Vilgax stood amid the destruction, his squid-like face turned toward the sky as if expecting Ben's arrival. He wore his usual armor, enhanced with weapons Ben hadn't seen before. Tennyson. Vilgax roared when he spotted them. I should have known you'd find allies in this dimension. Big Chill turned intangible as Vilgax fired a blast from his gauntlet. The energy passed harmlessly through him, striking a building behind. Superman dove directly at the warlord, only to be caught in a force field at the last second. "Your powers are impressive, Kryptonian," Vilgax said, analyzing Superman with cold eyes. "But I've conquered beings far stronger than you." Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Ben recognized from comics, maintained the barrier around the battle zone while directing civilians to safety. His ring created constructs to shield fleeing people from debris. "Who's Calamari Face?" Lantern called out to Superman. "He's giving off energy readings like nothing I've seen." "His name is Vilgax," Big Chill answered, flying down beside Green Lantern. "He's from my dimension. Don't underestimate him." Lantern looked at the moth alien with surprise. "And you are?" "Long story," Big Chill rasped. "I'm on your side." Superman broke free of the force field, his eyes glowing red. "Whatever technology you're using, it won't protect you for long." Vilgax laughed, a harsh sound that echoed across the battle zone. "Technology? Partly. But this universe has something my own lacks: magic." He raised his gauntlet, which glowed with arcane symbols. "I've already made acquisitions since arriving." He's stolen magical artifacts, Ben realized. "Superman, be careful. Magic is one of your weaknesses." Vilgax fired again, this time a bolt of mystical energy that struck Superman square in the chest. The Man of Steel cried out in pain as he was thrown backward through several buildings. Big Chill flew at Vilgax, turning intangible to pass through his defenses. "It's me you want, Vilgax." "Indeed," the warlord agreed. "The Omnitrix is the key to conquering this dimension and returning to our own. Surrender it, and I might let your new friends live." Big Chill exhaled a blast of freezing breath, encasing Vilgax's arm in ice. "Not happening." The javelin arrived, Batman piloting it into position above them. Wonder Woman leaped out, her lasso glowing as she descended toward Vilgax. Flash streaked in from the side, running circles around the alien warlord to disorient him. Vilgax roared in anger, shattering the ice on his arm. More insects to crush. Green Lantern created giant emerald fists that pounded against Vilgax's force field. "Whatever you're using, it's not standard tech. My ring's having trouble analyzing it." "Combination of alien tech and magic," Ben explained as the Omnitrix symbol on his chest started beeping. "Not good timing." He reverted to human form just as Vilgax spotted him. The warlord's eyes narrowed with cruel satisfaction. "There you are, Tennyson. Vulnerable as always when the Omnitrix times out." Wonder Woman landed between them, her bracelets deflecting a blast from Vilgax's gauntlet. "Stay behind me, young one. I can handle myself," Ben assured her, already activating the Omnitrix again. "Just need a few seconds." Flash zipped to his side. "Need an assist?" "I can keep Squidface busy." "Good idea," Ben nodded, cycling through aliens. "I need something with enough firepower to break through his defenses." Vilgax was now engaged with Wonder Woman, their combat skills evenly matched. She struck with her sword, testing his armor for weaknesses, while he countered with mechanically enhanced strength. "Your warrior spirit is admirable, Amazon," Vilgax commented. "You would make a worthy general in my army." "I serve no conquerors," Wonder Woman replied, deflecting his attack and countering with her own. Ben selected an alien and transformed. Humongousaur. His body grew massive, reaching 12 feet tall with orange-brown skin and immense strength. The dinosaur-like alien form roared as Ben charged forward. "Remember me, Vilgax," he bellowed. "Let's see how you handle this." Batman watched from above, analyzing the battle. Green Lantern, contain any debris. Flash, evacuate any remaining civilians. Superman, target the gauntlet, it appears to be the source of his magical attacks. Superman, having recovered, flew back into the fray. On it. Vilgax found himself surrounded, fighting off attacks from multiple directions. Wonder Woman's lasso snared his arm while Superman targeted his gauntlet with precise heat vision. Humongosaur grappled with him directly, using his massive strength to push the warlord back. "You've made powerful allies, Tennyson," Vilgax growled, struggling against the combined assault. "But I did not come alone." He pressed a button on his armor. Instantly, a breach opened in the sky, and dozens of drone robots poured through, each armed with weapons designed to target and capture Ben. "Drones," Ben warned. "They're programmed to get the Omnitrix." Batman's voice came through the League's comms. "Change of plans. Superman, Wonder Woman, handle Vilgax. Everyone else, contain those drones." Flash raced up the side of a building, leaping to intercept drones in midair. Green Lantern created a complex series of constructs, trapping several in green energy nets. Batman deployed countermeasures from the Javelin, electromagnetic pulses that disabled some of the robotic attackers. Humongosaur continued wrestling with Vilgax, growing even larger as the battle intensified. "You never learn, do you? No matter how many times I beat you, you keep coming back. Because the Omnitrix is rightfully mine." Vilgax snarled, breaking free from Wonder Woman's lasso and landing a powerful blow to Ben's chest. Ben staggered back, crashing into an already damaged building. Concrete and steel rained down around him. He grew to his maximum size, nearly 60 feet tall, and roared in defiance. "The Omnitrix chose me. Deal with it." Superman flew directly at Vilgax, moving so fast the alien warlord couldn't track him. He delivered a series of punches, each targeting a different part of Vilgax's armor. Wonder Woman joined the assault, her sword finding gaps in the armor's joints. Vilgax howled in pain and anger. "Enough." He activated another device on his belt, creating a shockwave that knocked everyone back. "Tennyson. This isn't over." A swirling portal opened behind him, different from the breach the drones had emerged from. This one pulsed with both technological and magical energy. "He's escaping." Superman shouted, flying toward the portal. "Wait." Ben called out. "It could be a trap." Vilgax stepped backward into the portal, his eyes fixed on Ben. "Follow me if you dare, Tennyson. Or stay and wonder what I'm planning with my new ally." "New ally?" Ben transformed back to human as the Omnitrix timed out. "What are you talking about?" Vilgax smiled cruelly. "This universe has impressive intellects. One, in particular, shares my interest in cataloging and controlling all forms of life." The portal began to close around him. "Brainiac sends his regards." Superman's expression hardened at the name. "Brainiac? Vilgax is working with Brainiac?" The portal snapped shut just as the last of the drones were destroyed. The battlefield fell silent, smoke rising from damaged buildings and disabled robots. Green Lantern descended beside them, his ring still glowing. "Did he just say Brainiac? Because that's a team-up I never wanted to hear about." "Who's Brainiac?" Ben asked, though from Superman's reaction, he could guess it wasn't good. "A Kaluan cyborg with 12th level intellect," Batman explained, landing the Javelin nearby and emerging. "He collects knowledge, cultures, and technology throughout the universe, then destroys the originals. He's stolen entire cities, shrinking them to add to his collection," Superman added grimly. "If he's interested in the Omnitrix." "Bad news," Ben finished. "Really bad news." Flash zipped to join them. "So we've got a squid-faced warlord teamed up with a knowledge-hungry cyborg, both after a watch that can transform its wearer into 10,000 different aliens." He let out a low whistle. "Just another Tuesday for the League, right?" Wonder Woman placed a hand on Ben's shoulder. "You fought well, Ben Tennyson. Your experience with this Vilgax will be valuable." Ben nodded, staring at where the portal had been. "Vilgax is dangerous enough on his own. If he's working with someone as smart as you say Brainiac is." We need to prepare, Batman stated. Cyborg will analyze the remains of those drones. We need to understand what technology from your dimension is capable of. Superman looked troubled. Brainiac usually works alone. For him to ally with anyone means he sees extraordinary value in the Omnitrix. He wants to catalog all life forms, Ben realized. The Omnitrix contains the DNA of 10,000 species. It's like a biological library. A shortcut to his goal, Batman agreed. We should return to the Hall of Justice. Plan our next move. As they prepared to depart, Ben looked around at the damage to Coast City. People were emerging from shelter, looking shocked at the destruction but relieved that the Justice League had saved them. Emergency services were moving in, helping the injured. I'm sorry about all this, Ben said quietly. Vilgax followed me here. This is my fight. No, Superman said firmly. The moment he threatened this world, it became our fight too. That's what the Justice League does. Flash nodded. Yeah, don't sweat it, kid. Interdimensional threats are kind of our specialty. Besides, Wonder Woman added with a small smile, I suspect you would do the same for us. Ben couldn't argue with that. Back home, he and his team had saved their world, and others, countless times. You're right. So what's the plan? First, we gather information, Batman said. Then we find Vilgax and Brainiac before they can combine the Omnitrix technology with Brainiac's collection. Green Lantern's ring glowed as he received a transmission. The Guardians are reporting unusual activity in Sector 2814. Multiple breach points similar to the one we just witnessed. They're creating more portals, Ben said. But why? What are they looking for? Superman's expression was grim. With those two? Nothing good. As they boarded the Javelin to return to the Hall of Justice, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get much worse. Vilgax was bad enough in his own universe. Here, with new magical artifacts and an alliance with one of the DC Universe's most dangerous intellects. The Omnitrix felt heavy on his wrist. It had always been his greatest weapon, but now it might be the very thing that put two universes in jeopardy. Back at the Hall of Justice, Cyborg had been monitoring everything. His lab was now filled with holographic displays showing energy readings from across the globe. I've been tracking the dimensional breaches, he explained as they entered. They're increasing in frequency and size. Something's weakening the barriers between dimensions. Batman examined the data. Pattern? They seem concentrated around areas with high technological or magical significance, Cyborg said. Star Labs, LexCorp facilities, ancient mystical sites. They're gathering resources, Ben realized. Tech and magic, just like Vilgax was using against us. Superman turned to Ben. What exactly happens if Brainiac gets access to the Omnitrix? Ben's expression darkened. Worst case. He could extract the DNA samples and create an army of the most powerful species in the universe. Or he could try to replicate the transformation technology and give himself the ability to transform. And Vilgax? Wonder Woman asked. He'd use it to conquer everything in sight, Ben said simply. That's what he does. Flash whistled low. So we're talking potential universal domination. Great. A new alert sounded on Cyborg's console. Energy spike in Metropolis. Big one. Coordinates? Batman demanded. LexCorp headquarters, Cyborg replied. Ben frowned. Who's Lex? He stopped, realization dawning. Wait, Lex Luthor. Superman's archnemesis. The same, Superman confirmed grimly. And if he gets involved with Brainiac and Vilgax? 3 supervillains for the price of 1, Flash groaned. Batman was already moving toward the exit. Superman, Flash, with me. We'll check LexCorp. Wonder Woman, stay with Ben. Cyborg, keep monitoring for additional breaches. Hold on, Ben protested. I should go too. I know Vilgax better than anyone. Precisely why you should stay protected, Batman countered. You and the Omnitrix are their targets. Ben activated the watch, cycling through aliens. I can protect myself. And you might need my help. Superman looked at Batman, who gave a slight nod after a moment's consideration. Alright, Batman conceded. But you follow orders. This isn't your universe, and you don't know the players involved. Fair enough, Ben agreed, selecting an alien and transforming. His body morphed into a black and blue velociraptor-like form with wheels instead of feet. XLR-8. I can keep up with Flash. Flash grinned. We'll see about that, kid. As they prepared to depart, Wonder Woman approached Ben. Be careful, Ben Tennyson. Luthor is as dangerous with his mind as Vilgax is with his strength. I will, Ben promised, his visor sliding down over his face. Hero time. The trip to LexCorp headquarters took minutes, with Superman flying ahead while Batman followed in the Batwing. Flash and XLR-8 raced through the streets of Metropolis, weaving between cars and pedestrians. Not bad, kid. Flash called as they ran side by side. But watch this. He accelerated, leaving Ben temporarily behind before the Kinoceleran caught up. I'm just warming up. Ben replied, pushing his alien form to its limits. They arrived at LexCorp to find the building's security systems in chaos. Alarms blared, and security guards were scattered unconscious around the perimeter. The main entrance had been forcibly breached, the heavy security doors torn from their hinges. Batman landed the Batwing on the roof, quickly joining the others at the entrance. Cyborg, give me a scan of the building. Working on it, Cyborg's voice came through their comms. LexCorp has heavy shielding, but I'm detecting multiple life forms on the research level. One matches the energy signature of Vilgax from earlier. Superman's eyes glowed as he used his X-ray vision. I see Luthor in his office. He appears to be talking to someone. I can't make out who. Brainiac? Flash suggested. Possibly, Batman said. Flash, secure the perimeter. Superman, take the direct approach to Luthor's office. XLR-8 and I will check the research labs. Ben nodded, following Batman as they entered the building. Inside, the damage was extensive. Walls had been smashed, security systems disabled, and LexCorp employees were either unconscious or had fled. This feels like a Vilgax entrance, all right, XLR-8 commented as they moved through the wreckage. Subtlety isn't his strong suit. Batman moved silently ahead, checking corners and doorways. The research labs are 2 levels down. Luthor keeps his most dangerous projects there. They reached a stairwell and descended rapidly, XLR-8 speed allowing him to keep pace with Batman's practiced efficiency. As they approached the research level, they heard the unmistakable sounds of destruction. Batman held up a hand, signaling Ben to stop. He peered around the corner, then pulled back. Vilgax is there, he whispered. He's extracting something from a containment unit. Some kind of glowing crystal. Ben's Omnitrix symbol started beeping. Not now, he hissed, but the transformation reversed anyway, leaving him in human form. Batman gave him a look. That timing is problematic. Tell me about it, Ben muttered, already reactivating the Omnitrix. Been dealing with it for years. Before he could transform again, a deep voice rumbled from around the corner. I can sense the Omnitrix, Tennyson. Did you think you could hide from me? Vilgax emerged, holding a glowing green crystal in one massive hand. His armor appeared upgraded, with new components that Ben didn't recognize, likely LexCorp technology. Hey, Vilgax, Ben said casually, hand hovering over the Omnitrix. New look? Let me guess, you raided the villain supply closet? Batman threw several batarangs in quick succession. They exploded against Vilgax's armor, creating a smokescreen. Ben used the distraction to transform, slamming his hand down on the watch face. Chroma Stone. A crystalline alien with purple rock-like skin and pink crystal shards protruding from his body took Ben's place. Let's see how you handle this. Vilgax emerged from the smoke, hardly affected by Batman's attack. Another transformation. How predictable. Batman spoke into his calm, Superman, we've engaged Vilgax in the research lab. He's acquired some kind of crystal technology. Kryptonite, Superman's voice came back, strained. Luthor had a supply in his vault. Be careful. Chroma Stone absorbed an energy blast from Vilgax's gauntlet, channeling it back as a rainbow-colored beam. What are you planning, Vilgax? What's with the team-up? Necessity, Vilgax replied, dodging the returned energy. This universe has resources ours lacks. Brainiac has knowledge I require. Luthor has technology we both find useful. Batman threw more batarangs, these ones electrified. They attached to Vilgax's armor, delivering powerful shocks that actually made the warlord stagger. Impressive toys, Vilgax growled, ripping the devices off. But insufficient. Chroma Stone moved between Batman and Vilgax. Your fight is with me, not him. On the contrary, Vilgax said, his eyes gleaming. My fight is with anyone who stands between me and universal domination. Including your new friends. A new voice spoke from the doorway behind them. I couldn't agree more. Ben turned to see a bald man in an expensive suit, flanked by security robots. Lex Luthor. Mr. Luthor, Batman acknowledged coldly. Batman, Luthor replied with equal frost. I see you've brought a new metahuman to the party. His eyes fixed on Chroma Stone with calculating interest. Fascinating. Vilgax told me about your transformative abilities, but seeing it in person is quite something. Where's Brainiac? Batman demanded. Luthor smiled thinly. Attending to other matters. We have a rather extensive shopping list to complete. Chroma Stone kept his guard up, watching both Vilgax and Luthor. Shopping list? Components, Vilgax explained. For a device that will allow us to harness the Omnitrix's power on a universal scale. Not happening, Ben said firmly, absorbing another blast from Vilgax and returning fire. The ceiling suddenly exploded inward as Superman crashed through, landing hard on the floor. He looked weakened, his face contorted in pain. The kryptonite crystal in Vilgax's possession glowed brighter. Ah, Superman, Luthor said with satisfaction. Right on time. Flash appeared in the doorway, skidding to a stop beside Batman. Whoa, full villain convention in here. He noticed Superman's condition. Cow. Batman moved to Superman's side while Chroma Stone positioned himself between them and Vilgax. The kryptonite, Batman said. We need to get it away from him. On it. Ben concentrated, his crystalline body changing frequency to better absorb the kryptonite radiation. I can neutralize it temporarily. Luthor looked surprised. Interesting. Your alien form can absorb radiation. And redirect it. Ben channeled the absorbed energy into a powerful blast that struck both Vilgax and Luthor, sending them flying backward into the lab equipment. Flash raced around the room, creating a vortex that pulled the kryptonite from Vilgax's grasp. Batman caught it and quickly sealed it in a lead-lined compartment from his utility belt. Superman began to recover, slowly getting to his feet. Thank you, he said to Ben. That's a useful ability. Vilgax roared in anger, activating something on his gauntlet. The wall behind him rippled, a portal beginning to form. This is merely the beginning, Tennyson. We'll meet again when our preparations are complete. Stop them. Batman ordered, but Luthor had already reached Vilgax's side. A pleasure meeting you, Ben 10, Luthor said with a smirk. I look forward to studying your technology, up close. They stepped through the portal, which snapped shut behind them before anyone could follow. Flash looked around at the destroyed lab. So that went well. Ben transformed back to human form, looking troubled. They're gathering components for something big. And if Brainiac is involved, it won't be good for either of our universes, Superman finished, now fully recovered. We need to figure out what they're planning and stop them before they complete it. Batman was examining the equipment Vilgax had damaged. Luthor was researching interdimensional travel. He's been at it for months, according to these files. So Brainiac and Vilgax didn't just happen to team up, Ben realized. Luthor was already looking for a way between dimensions. And somehow found one, Superman added. But why? Batman accessed the computer terminal, bypassing security with practiced ease. According to this, Luthor detected dimensional anomalies 3 months ago. Energy signatures unlike anything in our universe. The Omnitrix? Ben suggested. Possibly, Batman agreed. Or something else from your dimension. Flash zipped around the room, examining everything at super speed. Guys, I found something weird over here. He pointed to a device that seemed to be collecting energy from the air. This thing is harvesting some kind of background radiation. Ben approached it cautiously. That looks like null void energy. At their confused looks, he explained, the null void is a pocket dimension in my universe. It's where we send dangerous criminals. Superman frowned. You think that's what they're after? Access to this null void? I don't know, Ben admitted. But whatever they're planning, we need to stop them before they complete it. He looked at the Justice League members. I'm in this with you guys. All the way. Batman nodded. We should return to the Hall of Justice. Coordinate with the rest of the League. As they prepared to leave, Ben took one last look at the device harvesting null void energy. A chill ran down his spine. If Vilgax, Brainiac, and Luthor were working together, combining the worst aspects of 2 universes, the danger was greater than anything he'd faced before. But he wasn't alone this time. He had the Justice League on his side. Let's go, he said, activating the Omnitrix again. We've got work to do. Back at the Hall of Justice, the full League had assembled. Ben found himself standing before heroes he'd only read about in comics, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Hawkgirl, and others. It was both intimidating and thrilling. Cyborg displayed his findings on the main screen. I've analyzed the energy signatures from all dimensional breaches so far. They're consistent with a controlled deterioration of the barrier between universes. Not random accidents, Martian Manhunter observed. Someone is deliberately weakening the walls between dimensions. But why? Wonder Woman asked. What purpose would that serve? Ben stepped forward. In my universe, there's a scientist named Paradox who specializes in time and dimensional travel. He once told me that different universes have different laws of physics, different energies. Some technologies work better in certain universes than others. Batman nodded. They're exploiting the differences between our universes. Taking advantage of the unique properties of each. Brainiac wants knowledge, Superman added. The Omnitrix gives him access to thousands of alien species he's never catalogued. And Vilgax wants power, Ben continued. Your universe has magic, Kryptonians, lantern rings, things he's never encountered before. While Luthor, Batman concluded, wants it all. Flash let out a low whistle. Talk about your unholy alliances. Aquaman, who had been silent until now, spoke up. The question remains, what are they building? All eyes turned to Ben. He thought carefully before answering. If I had to guess. A device that combines Brainiac's collection technology with the Omnitrix's transformation capability. Something that could transform entire populations at once, or extract and manipulate DNA on a massive scale. A weapon of genetic warfare, Batman said gravely. Or a tool for instant evolution, Cyborg suggested. Forcibly advancing entire species to suit their needs. Superman's expression hardened. We need to find them. Now. Cyborg nodded. I've been tracking the energy signatures. They're concentrating in 3 locations, a LexCorp facility in Antarctica, an ancient temple in Byalia, and... He paused, looking troubled, the Fortress of Solitude. Superman stiffened. The fortress? How? Unknown, Cyborg admitted. But the energy readings are clear. Batman turned to the assembled League. We split into teams. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg will check the fortress. Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl take Byalia. Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and I will investigate the LexCorp facility. What about me? Ben asked. Batman considered him for a moment. You come with my team. If this is Vilgax's endgame, we need your expertise. Ben nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. This wasn't just about getting home anymore. It was about stopping a threat to both their universes. One more thing, Batman added. Dr. Fate has confirmed that the dimensional barriers are becoming dangerously unstable. If we don't stop whatever Brainiac, Vilgax, and Luthor are doing, both our universes could collapse into each other. The severity of the situation settled over the room. Ben looked down at the Omnitrix on his wrist. The device that had defined his life as a hero now stood at the center of a multiversal crisis. Then we better get moving, he said, determination in his voice. It's hero time. Chapter 2, Worlds Collide. Batman's Batwing cut through dark clouds over the Antarctic wastes, its engines barely audible even in the frozen stillness. Ben gazed out the window at the endless white landscape below, the unfamiliar aircraft's advanced stealth technology both impressive and a stark reminder of how far from home he really was. So this Lex Luthor, Ben said, breaking the silence. He's basically your universe's version of a mad scientist billionaire. Luthor is more dangerous than you realize, Batman replied, eyes fixed on the navigation display. He's not just intelligent, he's ruthless, calculating, and obsessed with power. Aquaman, seated behind them, leaned forward. He once tried to flood the entire eastern seaboard just to create new beachfront property. Charming guy, Ben muttered. Martian Manhunter's voice was calm as ever. I sense your concern, Ben Tennyson. But remember, you are not facing these threats alone anymore. Ben nodded, appreciating the reassurance. The weight of the Omnitrix felt heavy on his wrist. Usually, Gwen and Kevin would have his back. Fighting alongside literal comic book heroes was cool, but he missed his team. I've fought Vilgax dozens of times, Ben said. But never when he had this many resources, or allies this smart. Batman's eyes narrowed slightly. Tell us more about Vilgax's weaknesses. Ben thought for a moment. He's arrogant. Always underestimates me because I'm human. He's obsessed with the Omnitrix to the point of tunnel vision. And he's not used to working with others, might not trust Brainiac or Luthor completely. Potential friction we can exploit, Batman noted. Good. The Batwing sensors pinged, drawing their attention. Batman adjusted their course slightly as a massive structure came into view, a sprawling LexCorp facility built into the side of an Antarctic mountain, its sleek architecture a stark contrast to the natural ice formation surrounding it. That doesn't look like your average research station, Ben observed. It's not, Batman confirmed. According to LexCorp records, this is supposed to be a climate research facility. But the power consumption and security measures suggest something far more significant. I detect multiple minds within, Martian Manhunter said, his eyes glowing faintly. Many are guards, but there are scientists as well. Their thoughts are fragmented. As if they're not fully in control. Brainiac's influence, Batman surmised. He can connect to human minds through technology. Ben activated the Omnitrix, cycling through alien forms. So what's the plan? Stealth or the direct approach? Stealth first, Batman decided, guiding the Batwing to a ridge about a mile from the facility. We need information before we act. The aircraft touched down silently, its dark hull blending with the shadows cast by the mountain. As they disembarked, Ben felt the Antarctic cold bite through his jacket. "Man, I should have packed for winter," he muttered, teeth already chattering. Batman tapped a control on his gauntlet, and a small compartment in the Batwing opened. "Here." He tossed Ben a sleek, insulated suit. "This will help with the cold." Ben examined the high-tech thermal suit with appreciation. "Thanks. Though I have another solution." He activated the Omnitrix and transformed in a flash of green light. Big Chill. The moth-like alien form emerged, its blue exoskeleton naturally resistant to extreme temperatures. Cold isn't really a problem for necrophrygians. Aquaman raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed despite himself. Convenient. Batman was already scanning the facility with high-powered binoculars. Security is extensive. Motion sensors, thermal imaging, armed patrols. "John, can you get us inside telepathically?" The Martian Manhunter nodded. "I can shield our mental presence and create a temporary blind spot in their surveillance, but only for a short time." "That's all we need," Batman said. "Ben, your intangibility could be useful here." Big Chill nodded, his breath visible in the frigid air. "I can phase through walls, take a look around inside." "We move together," Batman instructed. "John, establish a telepathic link between us." Ben felt a strange sensation as Martian Manhunter's mind touched his own. Suddenly, he could sense the other's presence in his thoughts, not reading his mind, but creating a channel of communication. "Whoa," he thought. "This is weird but cool." "Focus," Batman's thought came back sharply. "Let's move." They approached the facility using the natural ice formations as cover. When they reached the outer perimeter, Martian Manhunter's eyes glowed green as he mentally redirected the attention of nearby guards. Batman disabled a security camera with a precisely thrown batarang, creating an entry point. Batman thought through the link. "Now." Big Chill turned intangible, his body becoming ghost-like as he passed through the outer wall of the facility. The others followed as Martian Manhunter used his own phasing abilities to bring Batman and Aquaman through the solid structure. Inside, they found themselves in a maintenance corridor, the hum of massive machinery vibrating through the walls. The temperature was notably warmer, but Big Chill remained comfortable in his alien form. "Which way?" Aquaman asked through the mental link. Batman pulled up a schematic on his gauntlet computer. "The energy readings are strongest below us. There should be an access point ahead." They moved silently through the facility, avoiding patrols of blank-faced guards whose eyes occasionally flickered with an unnatural light. Brainiac's influence, Ben assumed. The deeper they went, the more advanced the technology became, with unfamiliar components that seemed to merge LexCorp designs with something alien. "Some of this tech isn't from Earth," Batman observed. "Or this universe." "I recognize components from Vilgax's drones," Big Chill confirmed. "He's definitely been here." They reached a heavily secured door that even Batman's hacking skills couldn't immediately bypass. Big Chill solved the problem by simply phasing through, then deactivating the lock from the inside. The chamber beyond took Ben's breath away. It was enormous, reaching several stories high, with a massive device at its center. Scientists worked at various stations around the room, all wearing the same vacant expression as the guards. Energy arcs of purple and green, the same colors Ben had seen in the dimensional portal, crackled between components of the central machine. "What is that thing?" Aquaman wondered. Batman scanned it with his cowl's sensors. "Some kind of dimensional gateway. Much larger than anything we've seen before." Big Chill studied the machine, his alien intellect analyzing its components. "It's similar to the portal that brought me here, but way more powerful." "And look," he pointed to a circular component at the center, that's designed to hold the Omnitrix. Or extract its core, Batman added grimly. A familiar voice echoed through the chamber. Impressive deduction, Detective. They turned to see Lex Luthor emerge from a side door, flanked by guards. Unlike the others, his eyes were clear and sharp. Luthor, Batman growled. Batman. Aquaman. Martian Manhunter. Luthor nodded to each, then turned his attention to Big Chill. And Ben Tennyson, the boy with the most valuable piece of technology in 2 universes. I must say, your reputation doesn't do you justice. Big Chill tensed, ready for a fight. Where are Vilgax and Brainiac? Attending to the other phases of our project, Luthor replied casually. I volunteered to oversee this facility. Consider it my contribution to interdimensional relations. Batman stepped forward. Whatever you're planning stops now, Luthor. Luthor smiled, utterly unfazed. On the contrary. It's already begun. He pressed a button on a remote control, and the central machine hummed to life, energy crackling more intensely around it. The floor beneath them trembled as the dimensional energies built. Through the mental link, Ben felt Martian Manhunter's alarm. Something's coming through. John warned. The air in the center of the machine rippled and tore open, creating a swirling portal of purple energy. From within emerged a familiar and unwelcome sight, dozens of Vilgax's combat drones, more advanced than the ones they'd fought in Coast City. Defend the gateway. Luthor commanded the guards, who immediately drew weapons and opened fire. So much for the stealth approach, Big Chill muttered as he turned intangible, letting enemy fire pass harmlessly through him. Batman threw smoke pellets, obscuring the room, while Aquaman engaged the guards directly, his Atlantean strength making quick work of the human opposition. Martian Manhunter's form shifted and stretched as he battled the incoming drones, his density-changing abilities allowing him to become solid or intangible as needed. Big Chill exhaled a freezing breath that encased several drones in ice. We need to shut down that portal, he called to Batman. Working on it, the Dark Knight replied, making his way toward the control console. Luthor backed away from the fighting, speaking into a communicator. Phase 1 complete. Proceed with Phase 2. He glanced at Ben with a calculating smile before slipping through a side exit. Luthor's escaping. Aquaman shouted, pinned down by drone fire. Let him go, Batman ordered. The portal is the priority. More drones continued to pour through the dimensional gateway, their weapons now specifically targeting Big Chill. One blast caught him off guard, disrupting his intangibility just long enough for another to score a direct hit. The impact sent him flying backward into a wall. Ben! Martian Manhunter called out in concern. Big Chill shook it off, taking to the air again. I'm fine. But these drones, they're specifically calibrated against my aliens. Vilgax has been planning this, Batman concluded, working furiously at the control console. The systems locked me out. We need to destroy the power source. The Omnitrix symbol on Big Chill's chest began flashing red. Not now. Ben groaned as the familiar timeout warning beeped. In a flash of red light, he reverted to human form, suddenly vulnerable in the middle of a firefight. A drone immediately locked onto him, its targeting systems recognizing the Omnitrix. Ben, get down. Aquaman shouted, throwing his trident with perfect accuracy to impale the drone before it could fire. Ben ducked behind a console, already activating the Omnitrix again. Come on, give me something good. He transformed in another flash of green light. Feedback. The black and white alien form with plug-like fingers and a single eye emerged, electricity crackling around its body. Perfect for an energy-absorbing situation. Let me handle this. Ben called out, rushing toward the portal device. Feedback's abilities allowed him to absorb the electrical energy powering the machine, channeling it through his body. Batman caught on immediately. Overload it. Ben placed his hands on the main power conduits, drawing in as much energy as possible, then redirecting it back into the system in a massive surge. The machine sputtered and sparked, components overheating as the portal began to fluctuate wildly. "It's working!" Aquaman shouted, dispatching the last of the guards. The portal expanded and contracted erratically, its energy field destabilizing. The remaining drones were sucked back through as the gateway began to collapse in on itself. "Everyone out!" Batman ordered. "This whole place is going to blow." They raced for the exit as the dimensional energy reached critical levels. Feedback grabbed Batman and Aquaman, using his enhanced agility to leap over obstacles. Martian Manhunter phased through walls, clearing their escape route of any resistance. They barely made it outside before a massive explosion rocked the facility, the dimensional energy releasing in a spectacular blast that lit up the Antarctic sky with unearthly colors. Ben transformed back to human as they watched the facility collapse. "Think that stopped their plan?" Batman's expression remained grim. "That was just one facility. We need to check in with the other teams." He activated his comm, Batman to Superman. "Report." Static crackled for a moment before Superman's voice came through, strained and urgent. "Batman, we have a situation at the fortress. Brainiac has," the transmission cut off abruptly. "Superman." Batman tried again. "Superman, respond." Martian Manhunter's eyes glowed as he reached out telepathically. "I sense great distress. Superman is in danger." "And the other team?" Aquaman asked. Batman switched channels. "Batman to Flash." Flash's voice came through, rapid and breathless. "Bats. Things are kinda intense here. Vilgax brought friends, lots of them. Green Lanterns down, and Hawkgirls," his voice cut off in a burst of static. Ben felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Antarctic cold. They knew we were coming. This was a trap, a distraction. "Divide and conquer," Batman agreed. "Classic strategy." "What now?" Aquaman demanded. "Superman or Flash?" Batman thought quickly. The Fortress of Solitude contains Kryptonian technology. If Brainiac gets his hands on it, combined with the Omnitrix. "That's where we need to be," Ben finished. "Let's go." They rushed back to the Batwing, Batman pushing the aircraft to its limits as they headed north toward Superman's Arctic sanctuary. Ben sat in silence, mind racing through possible scenarios and which alien forms might be most useful against Brainiac. "Tell me about Brainiac," he finally asked. "What are we up against?" 12th level intellect. Cybernetic body with advanced technology. Can interface with and control most computer systems, Batman explained tersely. His primary goal is to collect knowledge, particularly from unique civilizations, which he then destroys to preserve the value of his collection. He views the Omnitrix as the ultimate biological database, Martian Manhunter added. 10,000 species, all in one device. Ben looked down at the watch. And if he combined that with Kryptonian tech? He could potentially catalog and then eradicate entire species at will, Batman concluded. A perfect synthesis of his goals. The Batwing's communication system crackled to life again, but instead of Superman's voice, they heard Wonder Woman. "Batman, do you read me? Brainiac has taken control of the fortress systems. Superman is, contained somehow. Cyborg is fighting the infection in his own systems. We need backup." "On our way," Batman responded. ETA 20 minutes. "Hurry," Wonder Woman urged before the communication cut out again. Ben clenched his fist, feeling the familiar determination that had carried him through countless battles. 20 minutes might be too long. "Maybe I should go ahead, I've got aliens that can travel pretty fast." Batman considered this for only a moment. "Do it. We'll be right behind you." Ben nodded, activating the Omnitrix again. "Jet Ray," he called out as he transformed into the red, manta-like alien with incredible flight speed. "I'll see you there." The Batwing's hatch opened, and jet rays shot out into the open air, his wings carrying him at neuroshock speeds toward the North Pole. The landscape blurred beneath him as he pushed himself to the limit, the alien form's natural navigation abilities guiding him unerringly toward his destination. Within minutes, the crystalline structure of the Fortress of Solitude came into view, its usually pristine surface now marred by strange, mechanical growths, Brainiac's technology, infecting the Kryptonian sanctuary like a virus. Jet rays circled the structure once, looking for an entry point. Energy discharges erupted sporadically from within, signs of an ongoing battle. He spotted a section where the crystal had been breached and dove toward it. Inside, the scene was chaos. Wonder Woman battled dozens of robotic drones, her bracelets deflecting energy blasts while her sword cut through mechanical bodies. Nearby, Cyborg was physically connected to a Kryptonian console, his face contorted in concentration as he fought a digital battle against Brainiac's infection. And at the center of it all, suspended in some kind of energy field, was Superman, immobilized, his expression frozen in a rictus of pain. Brainiac himself stood before a massive Kryptonian crystal array, his green-skinned, mechanical body interfaced directly with the fortress systems. His skull-like ship hovered outside, visible through the crystal walls. Jet rays swept in, firing neuroshock beams at the nearest drones to clear a path to Wonder Woman. "Wonder Woman. It's me, Ben." She glanced up, recognizing him despite the alien form. "Ben. Brainiac has Superman trapped in a kryptonite-laced energy field. We can't get close enough to free him." Ben assessed the situation quickly. Jet ray wasn't the right form for this. He needed something with more power, or smarts. He touched down beside Wonder Woman and slapped the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. "Brainstorm." He shouted as his body transformed into a crab-like alien with an enormous brain protected by a shell that could open to release electrical energy. "Ah, most fortuitous," Ben said in Brainstorm's formal, articulated speech pattern. This cerebral crustacean form should provide the intellectual capacity to counteract Brainiac's machinations. Wonder Woman looked momentarily taken aback by his complete change in speech and demeanor. "Can you free Superman?" "Indeed, that task falls within my considerable capabilities," Brainstorm assured her, scuttling toward the energy field containing Superman. "However, I shall require a momentary diversion to analyze the field's frequency and composition." "Diversion I can do," Wonder Woman confirmed, launching herself directly at Brainiac with a battle cry that echoed through the fortress. Brainiac finally turned his attention away from the crystal array, his expression coldly analytical. "Diana of Themyscira. Your interference is futile. This process cannot be stopped. We'll see about that." Wonder Woman's fist connected with Brainiac's face, the impact sending him staggering back from the console. Ben used the distraction to reach Superman's containment field. Brainstorm's shell opened, revealing the pulsating brain within, and electrical energy arced between his pincers as he scanned the energy matrix. "Fascinating," he muttered. "A peculiar amalgamation of Kryptonian crystal technology and what appears to be Coluan cybernetics, specifically calibrated to Superman's unique physiological parameters." Cyborg, still connected to the system, called out to him. "Ben. I'm holding back Brainiac's virus, but not for long. If you're going to do something, do it fast." "Patience, my mechanically enhanced comrade," Brainstorm replied. "Scientific brilliance cannot be rushed." Nevertheless, he accelerated his analysis, his massive brain processing the field's properties. "Aha! The resonant frequency reveals a structural weakness." Ben directed a precise electrical discharge at a specific point in the field. The energy matrix flickered and destabilized. Superman's eyes snapped open as the field collapsed around him. He fell to his knees, weakened by the kryptonite exposure but alive and conscious. "Superman. Are you functional?" Brainstorm asked, helping the Man of Steel to his feet. "I'll be," Alright, Superman managed, his strength already returning as he moved away from the remnants of the kryptonite energy. Brainiac, he's extracting data from the fortress crystals. Knowledge from Krypton's archives about genetic manipulation. Across the chamber, Wonder Woman was fully engaged with Brainiac, her sword striking against his cybernetic arms, which had transformed into shields and weapons. Despite her incredible skill, she was gradually being forced back by Brainiac's calculating efficiency. "Your combat algorithms are impressive, Amazon," Brainiac observed dispassionately. "But ultimately predictable." "Predict this," a new voice called as a batarang struck Brainiac from behind, exploding in a shower of sparks. Batman, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter had arrived, joining the fray immediately. Batman's entrance had given Wonder Woman the opening she needed to land a powerful blow that sent Brainiac crashing into a crystal column. Ben decided it was time for a different approach. The Omnitrix symbol on his shell beeped as he transformed again. Upgrade. The black and green technological alien emerged, his liquid metal body perfect for interfacing with technology. "Let me handle Brainiac's control over the fortress." Upgrade flowed across the floor toward the main console, merging with the Kryptonian technology. His consciousness extended through the systems, encountering Brainiac's virus-like presence. Inside the digital realm, Ben found himself in a strange landscape of code and energy, a virtual battlefield where Brainiac's consciousness fought against Cyborg's defensive measures. The Coluan's presence was massive, methodical, and cold, systematically overcoming Cyborg's resistance. "Whoa, didn't expect a full-on Tron situation in here," Upgrade's voice echoed in the digital space. Cyborg's virtual representation turned toward him with surprise. "Ben. What are you, how are you here?" "Galvanic Mechamorph," Ben explained. "I can merge with and control technology. And right now, I'm giving you backup." Brainiac's digital avatar, a towering green figure with a grid of lights for a face, turned its attention to the newcomer. "Ben Tennyson. The Omnitrix bearer. Your arrival simplifies matters considerably." "Yeah, I get that a lot," Ben replied, extending his upgrade form through the system, reinforcing Cyborg's defenses and pushing back against Brainiac's intrusion. "Usually right before I ruin someone's evil plans." In the physical world, Superman had recovered enough to rejoin the fight, engaging Brainiac directly alongside Wonder Woman. The Coluan's body sparked and glitched as Ben and Cyborg attacked him from within the system. "The fortress is responding," Superman called out, noticing the infected areas beginning to reject Brainiac's technological growths. "It's working," Cyborg confirmed. "Ben's upgrade form is purging Brainiac's code faster than he can rewrite it." Brainiac's physical form staggered, his connection to the fortress systems weakening. "This is merely a temporary setback," he stated, his voice distorting. "The data has already been transmitted." Batman seized the opportunity, throwing specialized batarangs that attached to Brainiac's body, delivering targeted EMP pulses designed to disrupt his systems further. Inside the digital landscape, Ben pressed the advantage, his upgrade form consuming and converting Brainiac's viral code. "Sorry, but your subscription to the Fortress network has been cancelled." With a final surge of effort, Ben and Cyborg expelled Brainiac's presence from the Kryptonian systems. The physical manifestations of his technology began to wither and fall away from the crystal structures of the fortress. Ben separated from the console, reforming his upgrade body beside Cyborg. "Did we get him?" "The fortress systems are clear," Cyborg confirmed. "But he's right, data was transmitted before we cut him off." Brainiac's physical form had fallen to one knee, systems damaged but still functioning. Superman stood over him, ready to deliver a finishing blow. "It's over, Brainiac," Superman declared. The Coluan's face remained expressionless. "Incorrect, Kryptonian. It has merely entered the next phase." His body suddenly emitted a blinding flash of light. When their vision cleared, Brainiac was gone, teleported away. "Where did he go?" Wonder Woman demanded. A slow clapping sound echoed through the fortress. They turned to see a holographic projection of Lex Luthor appearing from a small device that must have been planted earlier. "Bravo, Justice League. And special congratulations to young Mr. Tennyson," Luthor's projection announced with a smirk. "Your performance has been most educational." "Luthor," Superman growled. "What are you planning?" "Simply the next step in human evolution, Superman," Luthor replied casually. "Or perhaps I should say universal evolution. Thanks to the Kryptonian genetic archives and the dimensional technology we've developed, we now have everything we need." Ben stepped forward, the Omnitrix symbol glowing on his chest as upgrade. "Except the Omnitrix. A temporary inconvenience," Luthor assured him. "You'll be joining us soon enough. In fact, I believe your friends from the Bialia expedition might have something to say about that." The hologram shifted to show Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Flash captured, contained in some kind of energy cells. They appeared injured but alive, with Vilgax standing guard over them. "You have 6 hours to surrender yourself and the Omnitrix, Ben Tennyson," Luthor stated. "Or your new friends will experience what happens when Vilgax gets impatient." The hologram flickered off, leaving them in stunned silence. "We need to find them," Ben said immediately, transforming back to human form. "Where's Bialia?" "Middle East," Batman answered, already accessing data on his gauntlet computer. "And it's not going to be simple. Queen Bee rules the country, she's no ally of the Justice League." Superman turned to Cyborg. "What did they take from the Fortress archives?" Cyborg's eye glowed as he interfaced with the remaining systems. "Genetic manipulation data. Specifically, information on how Kryptonian scientists once attempted to adapt other species to survive on Krypton. Combined with the dimensional technology they've been developing." Batman began. "And the Omnitrix's transformation capabilities." Ben continued. "They could potentially force entire populations to evolve according to their specifications," Superman finished grimly. "Or create armies of hybrid beings under their control." Wonder Woman's expression hardened. "We must stop them. But we cannot abandon our friends." "We won't," Batman assured her. "But walking into their trap isn't the answer either." Ben looked down at the Omnitrix thoughtfully. "Maybe I don't have to surrender. Maybe I just need to look like I'm surrendering." Batman caught on immediately. "A deception." "Exactly," Ben confirmed. "I have an alien form that might be perfect for this." Before he could elaborate, the fortress systems suddenly activated again, crystal displays lighting up with incoming transmissions. "Superman," a female voice called out. "Are you there? Please respond." Superman rushed to the console, recognition in his eyes. "Lois?" Lois Lane's face appeared on the crystal display, her expression urgent. "Clark, you need to see this. It's happening all over the world." The display split into multiple feeds showing news coverage from around the globe. Strange devices had appeared in major cities, Washington, D.C., Tokyo, London, Moscow, each one emitting a peculiar energy field that seemed to distort the air around it. "What are those things?" Aquaman asked. "Dimensional stabilizers," Ben realized, recognizing components similar to the device that had brought him to this universe. "They're preparing to open portals on a massive scale." "But to where?" Wonder Woman questioned. "Your dimension." Ben shook his head. "I don't think so. The energy signature is different." He turned to Superman. "What was in those Kryptonian archives besides genetic data?" Superman's expression darkened with sudden understanding. "Information about the Phantom Zone." "The what?" Ben asked. "A dimensional prison where Krypton sent its worst criminals," Batman explained. "A timeless void between dimensions." Ben's eyes widened. "Like the null void in my universe." The device at LexCorp was harvesting null void energy. "They're trying to create a bridge between dimensions," Cyborg concluded. "Specifically, between the Phantom Zone and your null void. But why? Aquaman demanded. What's the purpose? Power, Batman stated simply. The Phantom Zone contains some of the most dangerous criminals in the universe. If Brainiac, Luthor, and Vilgax could control them. Add in whatever nasty things are locked up in the null void, Ben added grimly, and they'd have an army like nothing either of our universes has ever seen. Superman's face set in determination. We need to stop those devices before they fully activate. And we need to rescue our friends. 2 objectives, 2 teams, Batman decided. Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, disable the dimensional stabilizers. Manhunter, Cyborg, Ben and I will rescue the others from Bialia. Ben nodded, but his mind was racing with the implications. Wait. I think I know why they want me to surrender. It's not just about the Omnitrix, it's about me. Explain, Batman prompted. The Omnitrix doesn't just transform the user, it contains a failsafe that prevents the user from dying, Ben explained. If I'm on the verge of death, it automatically transforms me into whatever alien would best survive. It's keyed to my specific DNA. They need your genetic material to bypass the Omnitrix's security measures, Cyborg realized. That's what all this has been about. Well, they're not getting it, Ben said firmly. So let's rescue our friends and shut down their operation for good. Batman nodded, approval barely visible beneath his cowl. Let's move. The teams split up, Superman's group departing immediately to address the global threat of the dimensional stabilizers. Batman led Ben, Cyborg, and Martian Manhunter to the Batwing, setting course for Bialia. As they flew, Ben sat beside Cyborg, both of them reviewing what they knew about Vilgax's technology and potential weaknesses. So this null void, Cyborg asked. What kind of things are imprisoned there? The worst of the worst, Ben answered grimly. Intergalactic criminals, monsters, beings with powers that make them too dangerous to be anywhere else. My team and I have sent plenty there ourselves. And if they merge it with the Phantom Zone? We're talking about a supervillain army with powers from 2 universes, Ben finished. Not something I want to see. Batman's voice came from the cockpit. We're approaching Bialian airspace. Stealth systems engaged. The Batwing went dark, its already quiet engines becoming nearly silent as active camouflage rendered it virtually invisible against the desert sky. Ben looked out the window at the arid landscape below, so different from the Antarctic wastes they'd left behind. According to the transmission, they're holding the others at an ancient temple complex, Batman explained. Satellite imagery shows significant activity there. I sense many minds, Martian Manhunter added. But there is interference. Some kind of psychic dampening field. Brainiac's technology, probably, Cyborg suggested. He knows John's capabilities. The Batwing descended toward a rocky outcropping several miles from the temple complex. Once landed, Batman activated a holographic display showing detailed terrain and the target location. The complex is heavily guarded, he explained. Queen Bee's forces on the perimeter, Vilgax's drones closer to the temple itself. Ben studied the layout. So what's the play? I'm guessing you don't want me to just walk up and surrender. That's exactly what you're going to do, Batman replied, but not as yourself. Ben grinned, understanding immediately. I think I know just the alien for this job. He activated the Omnitrix, cycling through forms before finding the one he wanted. This might be weird to watch. In a flash of green light, Ben transformed into a small, gray alien with frog-like features. Gray matter. But before anyone could question his choice of a tiny, physically weak form, he slapped the Omnitrix symbol again. Ultimate gray matter. The Omnitrix sparked with blue energy as Ben's form evolved further, growing slightly larger with more defined features, a larger cranium, and 6 thin, spider-like appendages emerging from his back. His skin turned a deeper gray with circuitry-like patterns running across it. Whoa, Cyborg breathed. What just happened? Ultimate evolution, Ben explained, his voice higher-pitched but with a distinct electronic quality. The Ultimatrix function simulates thousands of years of evolution in a worst-case scenario environment. Ultimate gray matter has significantly enhanced intelligence and technological manipulation abilities. Impressive, Batman acknowledged. But how does this help our mission? Watch, Ben said. He touched the Omnitrix symbol again, but instead of transforming, a holographic interface appeared around him. His spider-like appendages moved through the hologram, manipulating code and energy patterns. I'm accessing the Omnitrix's DNA database. After a few moments of rapid manipulation, a perfect holographic duplicate of Ben in human form appeared beside him. The duplicate was solid-looking, able to move independently while being controlled by ultimate gray matter. A decoy, Batman realized. Convincing. More than a decoy, Ben corrected. The hologram is actually composed of hard-light energy patterned after my human DNA. It will register as me on most scans, even genetic ones. At least for a while. How long? Batman asked. A few hours at most, Ben admitted. It requires constant connection to the Omnitrix to maintain stability. But that should be long enough. Cyborg looked impressed. So the hologram surrenders while you remain hidden? Exactly, Ben confirmed. I can control it remotely while maintaining this form. Once inside, I can locate the others and help free them while you create a distraction from outside. Batman nodded. It could work. John, can you maintain a telepathic link with Ben even with the interference? I believe so, Martian Manhunter replied. His transformed mind has a distinctive pattern that should be easier to isolate. Then let's proceed, Batman decided. Ben's decoy approaches from the front. Cyborg, you'll circle around to the eastern side and prepare to disable their security systems when I give the signal. John, take the western approach, your phasing abilities will be crucial for extracting our people quickly. I'll provide cover from above. They moved out, taking positions around the ancient temple complex. From his vantage point, Ben could see the imposing structure rising from the desert floor, a massive pyramid of black stone, now surrounded by advanced technology that looked wildly out of place against the ancient architecture. Beginning approach, Ben communicated through the telepathic link, directing his human hologram to walk openly toward the main entrance. Guards immediately spotted the approaching figure, weapons trained on what appeared to be Ben Tennyson casually walking into their trap. Word spread quickly through their ranks, and soon Vilgax himself emerged from the temple entrance, his massive form silhouetted against the desert sun. Tennyson, Vilgax's voice boomed across the sand. I knew you would come. Your human sentimentality is predictable. The holographic Ben stopped a few yards from the perimeter. Let my friends go, Vilgax. It's me you want. Indeed, Vilgax agreed. But I'll need verification. He signaled to his drones, which surrounded the hologram, scanning it with various devices. Ben held his breath, hidden behind a rocky outcrop in his ultimate gray matter form. The holoduplicate was good, but would it fool Vilgax's advanced technology? After a tense moment, one of the drones reported to Vilgax. The warlord nodded, apparently satisfied. The Omnitrix energy signature is present, as is Tennyson's DNA. Bring him in. The drones escorted the hologram into the temple complex. Through his mental connection to the duplicate, Ben could see everything it saw, including the interior of the temple, where ancient hieroglyphs covered walls now festooned with advanced technology. I'm in, Ben reported through the telepathic link. Moving to locate the others. Proceed with caution, Batman responded. We'll move on your signal. The hologram was led deeper into the temple, through corridors that gradually transitioned from ancient stone to hypermodern technological installations. Finally, they reached a central chamber where the true purpose of the operation became clear. At the center stood a massive device, similar to the one at the Antarctic facility but far larger and more complex. Energy arced between components, creating visible distortions in the air. And suspended above it was a swirling vortex of purple and red energy, a dimensional portal in its early stages of formation. "Behold," Vilgax announced, gesturing to the portal. "The future of both our universes." "Where are my friends?" the hologram demanded. Vilgax gestured to one side of the chamber, where Flash, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl were contained in transparent energy cells. They looked up at Ben's apparent arrival, expressions mixed between hope and concern. "Don't do it, Ben," Flash called out. "Whatever they want, it's not worth it." Vilgax turned to the hologram. "Remove the Omnitrix and place it on the pedestal." He indicated a specialized platform connected to the main device. The holographic Ben hesitated, giving the real Ben time to scan the room from the duplicate's perspective. He could see the containment controls, the power systems for the dimensional device, and most importantly, the weaknesses in Vilgax's security. "Now, Tennyson," Vilgax demanded impatiently. The hologram raised its wrist as if to comply, and then everything happened at once. "Now!" Ben shouted through the telepathic link. Outside, Batman launched his assault, deploying smoke bombs and explosive batarangs that created chaos among the perimeter guards. Cyborg systems hacked into the temple's power grid, causing lights to flicker and security measures to fail. Martian Manhunter phased through the western wall, immediately engaging Vilgax's drones. Inside, the holographic Ben smiled at Vilgax. "Sorry, Squid Face. But I'm not really here." The hologram flickered and disappeared, leaving Vilgax roaring in fury. From his hiding place, Ben directed one of his ultimate gray matter spider-like appendages to interface with a nearby control panel, deactivating the cells holding the League members. "What trickery is this?" Vilgax bellowed, scanning the room for the real Ben. Flash, freed from his cell, didn't waste time with questions. In a blur of red, he zipped around the chamber, disarming guards and disabling equipment. Green Lantern, his ring recovered from a nearby table, created massive green constructs that smashed through drones and machinery alike. Hawkgirl took to the air, her nth metal mace crackling with energy as she targeted the portal device's power conduits. Ben remained hidden, using Ultimate Greymatter's enhanced intelligence and technological interface abilities to systematically disable the dimensional portal from within the system. His spider-like appendages extended, connecting with multiple control points simultaneously. "The portal is destabilizing," one of Vilgax's technicians shouted. "Find Tennyson," Vilgax ordered. "He must be here somewhere." Batman crashed through a skylight, descending on cables to land in the center of the chamber. "It's over, Vilgax. Your portal is failing, and your allies have abandoned you." Vilgax roared in defiance, charging at Batman with surprising speed for his massive form. The Dark Knight dodged nimbly, using the Warlord's momentum against him. Martian Manhunter phased into the chamber, immediately linking telepathically with the freed League members to coordinate their efforts. "Ben is interfacing with the portal controls. We must buy him time." The battle intensified as Vilgax's remaining forces converged on the central chamber. Flash created vortexes that disoriented enemy troops, while Green Lantern and Hawkgirl focused on destroying the dimensional technology. Ben worked frantically, his ultimate gray matter form processing information at incredible speeds. "I've almost got it. There's a cascading feedback loop I can trigger that should collapse the portal permanently." "Do it," Batman ordered, barely evading a powerful blow from Vilgax. Ben initiated the feedback sequence, causing the portal device to emit a high-pitched whine as energy began to build uncontrollably within its systems. The swirling vortex above flickered and distorted, its colors shifting erratically. "No!" Vilgax shouted, abandoning his fight with Batman to rush toward the controls. "You'll destroy everything. That's the idea." Ben replied, finally revealing himself as he emerged from his hiding place behind a bank of equipment. Vilgax's eyes narrowed with hatred when he spotted Ben's ultimate gray matter form. Even in another universe, you continue to be a thorn in my side, Tennyson. It's kind of my thing, Ben quipped, using his spider-like appendages to swing away as Vilgax lunged for him. The portal above them expanded suddenly, energy crackling outward in dangerous arcs. Through the dimensional tear, shadowy figures could be seen moving, prisoners from both the Phantom Zone and the Null Void, drawn to the opening between worlds. We need to close it now. Green Lantern shouted, using his ring to create a containment field around the expanding portal. Working on it. Ben called back, interfacing with another control panel. But if I shut it down too quickly, the energy backlash could level this entire region. Batman joined him at the controls. We need to vent the excess energy somewhere. Up. Hawkgirl suggested, pointing to the sky with her mace. If we redirect it upward, away from the ground. That could work, Ben agreed. I can reconfigure the emitter array to channel the discharge vertically. While Ben and Batman worked on the controls, the others continued to hold back Vilgax and his forces. Flash created a tornado-like vortex around the Warlord, limiting his movement, while Martian Manhunter engaged him telepathically, attempting to disorient his mind. Green Lantern maintained his containment field around the portal, preventing anything from crossing through in either direction. Whatever you're going to do it fast. I can't hold this much longer. Almost there, Ben muttered, his appendages moving frantically across the controls. Batman, when I give the signal, activate that emergency shutdown sequence. The portal pulsed ominously, the tear between dimensions growing larger despite Green Lantern's efforts. Shadowy hands reached through, grasping at the edges, trying to force the opening wider. Ben! Hawkgirl shouted in warning as Vilgax broke free from Flash's vortex, charging directly toward them. Now! Ben called to Batman, who slammed his hand down on the emergency shutdown. The portal device emitted a deafening screech as the dimensional energies were forcibly redirected upward. A massive beam of purple and red light shot into the sky, parting clouds and illuminating the desert for miles around. The ground shook with the force of the discharge, ancient stone cracking under the strain. Vilgax, caught in the edge of the energy beam, was thrown backward with tremendous force, crashing through multiple walls before disappearing from sight. The portal above them collapsed in on itself, the tear between dimensions sealing with a thunderous boom that shook the entire temple complex. For a moment, everything went quiet. Then the remaining systems began to overload, exploding in showers of sparks and flame. Time to go. Flash announced, zipping around to gather anyone who couldn't move quickly enough on their own. Ben transformed back to human form, the Omnitrix timing out after the strain of maintaining the ultimate gray matter form. Everyone out. This whole place is coming down. They fled the crumbling temple, Batman supporting Ben while the others covered their retreat. Behind them, the ancient structure collapsed in on itself, burying the dimensional technology under tons of stone and sand. When they reached a safe distance, they turned to watch the final destruction of the temple complex. A dust cloud rose into the sky, illuminated by the last flickers of dimensional energy dissipating into the atmosphere. Did we stop it? Flash asked, breathing heavily despite his incredible speed. The whole portal thing. This one, yes, Batman confirmed. But there were others around the world. Cyborg, who had been maintaining communications with the other team, reported, Superman's group has destroyed 3 of the 5-dimensional stabilizers. The remaining 2 shut down on their own when we collapsed the portal here. And Vilgax? Ben asked, scanning the ruins of the temple. No sign of him, Martian Manhunter replied. But I sense he is not dead. Merely, displaced. Green Lantern's ring glowed as he received a transmission from the Guardians of OA. The dimensional disturbances are subsiding across the sector. Whatever they were planning, we've stopped it. For now. Hawkgirl placed a hand on Ben's shoulder. Thank you. Your quick thinking saved us all. Ben smiled, though exhaustion was evident on his face. Just doing what heroes do, right? Though I've got to say, teaming up with the Justice League definitely beats going solo. Batman was already in contact with Superman's team, coordinating their next moves. We should return to the Hall of Justice. Brainiac and Luthor are still out there, and they now have Kryptonian genetic data and dimensional technology. Not to mention they've probably learned a lot about the Omnitrix from watching me use it, Ben added grimly. Then we prepare, Batman stated simply. Because they will try again. As they boarded the Batwing for the journey back, Ben took one last look at the collapsed temple. He'd stopped Vilgax countless times before, but never with stakes this high, two universes hanging in the balance. And despite their victory here, he knew this was far from over. The flight back to the Hall of Justice was filled with debriefings and strategy discussions. Each team shared what they had discovered about the villain's plans, piecing together the full scope of the threat. By the time they landed, Superman's group had returned as well, successful in their mission to destroy the dimensional stabilizers. The full Justice League gathered in the main conference room, along with Ben. Holographic displays showed data from all three confrontations, the Antarctic facility, the Fortress of Solitude, and the Bialyan Temple. From what we've gathered, Batman began, Brainiac, Luthor, and Vilgax were attempting to create a controlled merger of specific dimensional pockets, primarily the Phantom Zone and the Null Void, while maintaining a stable connection between our two primary universes. Their goal was an army, Superman continued. Using Brainiac's technology, Kryptonian genetic science, and the Omnitrix's capabilities to create soldiers adapted for conquest in both dimensions. But we've stopped them, Flash pointed out. Destroyed their equipment, collapsed their portals. That's a win, right? A temporary one, Batman corrected. They still have the knowledge and most of the technology. And they still want the Omnitrix. Ben examined the watch on his wrist thoughtfully. Which means they still want me. Indeed, a new voice agreed. Everyone turned to see a tall figure in a blue robe and gold helmet entering the conference room, Dr. Fate. And the dimensional barriers remained dangerously weakened. Fate, Superman acknowledged the sorcerer. What have you discovered? The events of recent days have created fractures in the multiverse, Dr. Fate explained, his mystical helmet gleaming under the lights. These fractures are slowly healing, but remain vulnerable. Another attempt to force open dimensional portals could cause irreparable damage. Define irreparable damage, Green Lantern requested. Universal collapse, Fate stated simply. The total destruction of both dimensions involved. A somber silence fell over the room as everyone processed this information. Ben felt the weight of responsibility more heavily than ever. His presence in this universe was part of what had caused these fractures, and the Omnitrix remained the primary target of their enemies. So what do we do? He finally asked. Dr. Fate turned to him. You must return to your own dimension, young Tennyson. Your absence from your proper universe exacerbates the instability, as does the presence of the Omnitrix in a reality not meant to contain its power. But how? Ben questioned. The portals are destroyed, and even if we could make another one, wouldn't that make the fractures worse? Not if done properly, Fate replied. I have been working with Satana to create a controlled dimensional aperture, one that would allow you to return home without further damaging the multiverse. But it will take time to prepare. Batman nodded. How long? 24 hours, Fate answered. No longer. The longer Ben remains here, the greater the risk. Then we have 24 hours to ensure our enemies cannot interfere with Ben's departure, Superman declared. Or follow him back to his dimension. They'll make one last attempt to acquire the Omnitrix, Batman predicted. We need to be ready. The meeting continued as they developed their strategy, assigning teams to secure key locations and monitor for any sign of Brainiac, Luthor, or Vilgax. Ben participated actively, offering insights about Vilgax's tactics and the Omnitrix's capabilities that might help them prepare. As the session concluded, Superman approached Ben privately. How are you holding up? Ben shrugged, attempting nonchalance despite his exhaustion. Been a crazy couple of days. Dimensional travel, fighting alongside the Justice League, stopping a multiversal crisis. You know, the usual. Superman smiled at his humor. You've handled it remarkably well. Not everyone would adapt so quickly to being thrown into another universe. I've had practice, Ben admitted. Dimension hopping isn't exactly new to me. Though usually, I have my team with me. You must miss them. Yeah, Ben nodded, his expression momentarily vulnerable. My cousin Gwen, my friend Kevin, they're probably worried sick. And my parents. He trailed off, then straightened his shoulders. But hey, at least I'll have a great story to tell when I get back. So there I was, fighting alongside Superman. Superman laughed. They might not believe you. Probably not, Ben agreed with a grin. But that's okay. I'll know it happened. As evening fell, the League members dispersed to their assigned duties. Batman had insisted that Ben remain at the Hall of Justice for his safety, providing him with quarters there. Despite his protests that he could help patrol, the Dark Knight had been adamant, Ben and the Omnitrix needed to be protected until Dr. Fate's dimensional aperture was ready. Left alone in his temporary room, Ben found himself restless. He paced back and forth, occasionally glancing at the Omnitrix. So much had happened since he'd arrived in this universe, and now he was preparing to leave just as suddenly as he'd come. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Come in, he called. The door opened to reveal Wonder Woman, carrying a tray of food. I thought you might be hungry, she said, setting the tray on a small table. You've barely eaten since the battle in Bialia. Thanks, Ben said, suddenly realizing he was, in fact, starving. He sat down and began eating with enthusiasm. This is great. Wonder Woman smiled, taking a seat across from him. You fought well today, Ben Tennyson. With courage and wisdom beyond your years. Ben paused mid-bite, slightly embarrassed by the praise from the legendary Amazon warrior. I just did what I had to do. Same as back home. Perhaps, she acknowledged. But not everyone could face being thrown into an unfamiliar universe and immediately rise to the challenge as you have. The Omnitrix helps, Ben said, gesturing with his fork to the device on his wrist. The Omnitrix is a tool, Wonder Woman countered. A powerful one, certainly, but a tool nonetheless. It's the wielder who determines its worth. Ben considered this. Throughout his years with the Omnitrix, he'd met others who had similar devices or abilities. Some became heroes, others villains. The difference wasn't in the power itself but in how it was used. I guess you're right, he admitted. Back when I was 10, I didn't always use it the way I should have. Showed off, pulled pranks, that sort of thing. Took me a while to really understand what it meant to be a hero. And what does it mean to you now? Wonder Woman asked, genuinely curious. Ben thought for a moment. Responsibility. Not just using power because you can, but because you should. Helping people who can't help themselves. He smiled slightly. Sounds kind of cheesy when I say it out loud. Not at all, she assured him. Those are the core principles of true heroism, regardless of which universe you call home. They talked for a while longer, sharing stories of their respective adventures. Ben found himself relaxing in Wonder Woman's company, the stress of recent events temporarily receding. When she eventually left to resume her duties, he felt more centered than he had since arriving in the DC universe. Sleep, however, proved elusive. Ben lay awake, mind racing with thoughts of home and concerns about what Brainiac, Luthor, and Vilgax might be planning. The Omnitrix seemed to reflect his restlessness, its green light occasionally fluctuating as if sensing his unease. Finally giving up on sleep, Ben decided to explore the Hall of Justice. The corridors were quiet at this late hour, most of the League members either on patrol or resting in their own quarters. He found himself drawn to the observation deck, a glass-domed area that offered a spectacular view of the night sky. To his surprise, Batman was already there, standing silently before the windows, his cape draped around him like shadow given form. "Sorry," Ben said, turning to leave. "Didn't mean to intrude." "You're not," Batman replied without turning. "Couldn't sleep." "Too much on my mind," Ben admitted, stepping further into the room. "I don't require much sleep." Ben smiled slightly. Of course Batman would say that. "Thinking about our 3 favorite villains?" Among other things, Batman acknowledged. "They're planning something. One final move before you leave." "Yeah, that's what I figure too," Ben agreed, coming to stand beside the Dark Knight. "Any ideas what?" "Several," Batman replied. "None of them good." They stood in companionable silence for a moment, watching the stars. Ben found Batman's presence oddly reassuring despite the man's intimidating demeanor. There was something dependable about him, a sense that no matter how dire the situation, Batman would have a plan. "You know," Ben said eventually, "when I was a kid, I used to read Justice League comics. Batman was always my favorite." Batman glanced at him, one eyebrow raised slightly beneath the cowl. "Is that so?" Ben nodded. "You were the only one without powers, but you could still go toe-to-toe with anyone. That was cool." "The Omnitrix gives you access to incredible abilities," Batman observed. "But your greatest asset is your mind, Ben. How you choose to use your powers matters more than the powers themselves." Wonder Woman said something similar, Ben noted. "Diana tends to be right about such things," Batman agreed, the faintest hint of a smile touching his lips before vanishing. Their conversation was interrupted by an alert from Batman's gauntlet computer. He checked it, his expression darkening. "Security breach at STR Labs Metropolis. Energy signatures match Brainiac's technology." "Let me guess," Ben said grimly. "Time for one last battle before I go home." Batman was already heading for the exit. "Alert the others. We move in 10 minutes." Ben rushed back to his quarters, grabbing his jacket before meeting the assembled League members in the hangar. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, and Cyborg would accompany him to STR Labs, while the others maintained patrol elsewhere in case this was a diversion. STR Labs houses some of the most advanced technology on Earth, Cyborg explained as they boarded the Javelin. Including experimental dimensional research that could potentially be weaponized. If Brainiac and Luthor get their hands on it, Superman added, they could create another portal despite our previous efforts. The flight to Metropolis took only minutes in the Javelin's hypersonic mode. As they approached STR Labs, they could see that something was already very wrong. The building's normal security lights were dark, replaced by an ominous purple glow emanating from within. "Brainiac's already inside," Cyborg confirmed, his systems interfacing with the Javelin sensors. "And he's not alone. I'm detecting Luthor's energy signature, and something else. Something big." "Vilgax," Ben stated confidently. "The gang's all here." Superman turned to the team as the Javelin prepared to land. "Remember, their primary target is still Ben and the Omnitrix. We protect him at all costs." Ben activated the watch, cycling through alien forms. "I appreciate the concern, but I can hold my own. Been doing it for 8 years now." "No one doubts your abilities," Wonder Woman assured him. "But together we are stronger than any of us alone." The Javelin touched down on the roof of STR Labs. As they disembarked, Cyborg interfaced with the building systems, attempting to assess the situation. "Brainiac has control of most of the facility's systems," he reported. "But the main action is in the Dimensional Research Lab on Sublevel 3. They've activated something big." Batman pulled up building schematics on his gauntlet. 2 access routes. Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, take the main elevator shaft. Cyborg, Ben, with me through the secondary maintenance tunnels. They split up, moving swiftly into the darkened facility. Ben transformed as they entered, selecting a form suitable for the situation. "Swampfire," He called out as his body changed into a plant-like humanoid that could generate fire and control plant life. Let's see how Vilgax likes fighting me when I can regenerate. Batman led them through a series of narrow maintenance tunnels, bypassing Brainiac's security measures with Cyborg's help. As they descended, the purple glow intensified, and a low humming sound became audible, vibrating through the walls around them. "That doesn't sound good," Ben commented, the methane pods on Swampfire's arms glowing softly in the darkness. "It's not," Cyborg confirmed grimly. "They're drawing massive power, more than this facility should be capable of producing." They emerged from the tunnels into a service corridor on sublevel 3. Ahead, they could see flashes of light and hear the sounds of combat. Superman's team had already engaged the enemy. "Let's move," Batman ordered, leading them toward the Dimensional Research Lab. The scene that greeted them as they burst into the lab was chaotic. Superman and Wonder Woman were engaged in battle with Vilgax, who seemed even more powerful than before, his armor enhanced with new technology that gave him the strength to match even the Man of Steel. Flash was zipping around the perimeter of the room, dismantling devices and evading Luthor, who wore a sophisticated battle suit armed with various weapons. At the center of it all, Brainiac stood before a massive machine that crackled with dimensional energy, a swirling portal slowly forming above it, smaller than the one in Bialia, but growing steadily. "Stop them!" Luthor shouted upon noticing their arrival. "Tennyson cannot be allowed to interfere." Brainiac turned, his expression coldly analytical. "Benjamin Tennyson. Your presence completes the final variable in our equation." "Sorry to disappoint," Ben called out, generating fireballs in Swampfire's hands, "but I'm not part of your science project." He hurled the flames at Brainiac, who erected an energy shield to deflect them. Batman and Cyborg moved immediately to support Flash against Luthor, while Ben advanced on Brainiac. "Your persistence is admirable but futile," Brainiac stated. "The dimensional aperture is already forming. Soon, we will have access to both the Phantom Zone and your Null Void simultaneously." "Been there, tried that, blew it up," Ben retorted, sending vines erupting from the floor to entangle Brainiac's legs. "What makes you think this time will be any different?" "Because this time," Brainiac replied, severing the vines with energy blasts from his palms, "we are not attempting to merge dimensions. We are creating a controlled extraction point." Ben's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "You're cherry-picking specific prisoners from both dimensions." "Precisely," Brainiac confirmed. "Only those whose abilities serve our purposes." Across the lab, Superman landed a powerful blow that sent Vilgax crashing into a bank of equipment. The Warlord rose quickly, adjusting something on his gauntlet that caused his armor to glow with renewed energy. "You cannot stop what we have begun, Kryptonian," Vilgax roared. "This universe will fall, as will Tennyson's." Wonder Woman's lasso snared Vilgax's arm, the magical rope tightening as she pulled with all her Amazon strength. "Your ambition blinds you to your inevitable failure, creature." Batman and Cyborg had Luthor cornered, his battle suit damaged but still dangerous. Flash continued dismantling peripheral equipment, reducing the power flowing to the dimensional device. Ben pressed his attack on Brainiac, combining Swampfire's flames and plant control in increasingly creative ways. But the Coluan cyborg adapted quickly, analyzing each attack and formulating countermeasures. "Your transformative abilities are fascinating," Brainiac commented, almost conversational despite the battle raging around them. "But ultimately predictable once a sufficient data sample has been collected." As if to prove his point, Brainiac suddenly deployed a freezing ray that caught Ben off guard, encasing Swampfire's legs in ice, a known weakness of this particular form. "Predictable, huh?" Ben muttered, slapping the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. "Let's try something less common." In a flash of green light, Swampfire was replaced by a crystalline being with rainbow-colored features. Chroma Stone. Ben immediately absorbed the energy from Brainiac's next attack, channeling it back as a powerful beam that broke through the Coluan's shields, sending him staggering backward. "Adaptation noted," Brainiac stated, quickly reconfiguring his weapons. But insufficient. The dimensional portal above continued to grow, arcs of energy lashing out from its swirling center. Through the opening, shadowy figures could be seen moving, waiting, watching for their chance to cross over. Superman. Batman called out. The portal is stabilizing. We need to shut it down now. Superman broke away from his battle with Vilgax, flying toward the dimensional device with clear intent to destroy it. Vilgax, anticipating this move, activated something on his gauntlet. A beam of green energy, kryptonite-based, struck Superman mid-flight, sending him crashing to the ground. Cow! Wonder Woman cried out in alarm, momentarily distracted. Vilgax seized the opportunity, breaking free from her lasso with a surge of enhanced strength. Now, Brainiac. Begin the extraction. Brainiac initiated a sequence on the main console, causing the portal to pulse with new intensity. From its depths, a massive figure began to emerge, a being Ben recognized with horror. A Gregor. He shouted, seeing the Osmosian criminal who had once nearly destroyed his universe. How did you? We've been monitoring the null void for some time, Luthor explained, his damaged battle suit still allowing him to keep Batman and Cyborg at bay. Selecting only the most promising candidates for our new alliance. A second figure emerged beside Gregor, a pale, white-skinned Kryptonian that Superman recognized immediately. Zod. General Zod stepped fully through the portal, taking a deep breath as he absorbed the yellow sun radiation that powered his Kryptonian abilities. At last, he said, flexing his hands as strength visibly flowed into him. Freedom. More figures began to materialize at the portal's edge, familiar villains from both universes, each selected for specific abilities or knowledge that would serve Brainiac, Luthor, and Vilgax's goals. This is very, very bad, Flash commented, skidding to a stop beside Ben. Please tell me you have a plan. Ben's mind raced through options. As Chromastone, he could potentially absorb some of the portal's energy, but not enough to collapse it entirely. He needed something with more raw power. Cover me, he told Flash. I need to get closer to that portal. Flash nodded, creating a vortex that cleared a path through the chaos of the battle. Ben made his way toward the dimensional device, dodging attacks from multiple directions as more villains emerged from the portal. Tennyson. Vilgax spotted him, abandoning his fight with Wonder Woman to intercept Ben. Your interference ends now. Ben transformed the crystalline structure of his chromastone form into a reflective surface, bouncing Vilgax's energy blast back at him. Sorry, Vilgax. Stopping your evil plans is kind of my hobby at this point. Reaching the base of the dimensional device, Ben analyzed its structure quickly. The power flow, the containment fields, the stabilization matrix, all complex, but with one critical vulnerability. The entire system depended on a continuous, controlled energy input. Too much, too fast, and it would collapse. Time for the big guns, Ben muttered, slapping the Omnitrix symbol again. Way big. In a flash of green light, Ben's form grew enormously, smashing through the ceiling of the lab as he transformed into the massive Tacuster alien, a cosmic being of immense strength and power. The upper half of Way Big's body extended through several floors of STR labs, emerging from the roof into the night sky of Metropolis. Whoa! Flash exclaimed, looking up at the towering form. That's big. Inside what remained of the lab, Brainiac quickly assessed the new threat. Containment protocols ineffective against entity of this mass. Recalculating approach. Vilgax snarled in frustration. The Tacuster form. Luthor, deploy the countermeasures. But it was too late. Way Big reached down through the shattered floors, his massive hand engulfing the dimensional device. With a single squeeze, he crushed the main components, causing the portal to fluctuate wildly. No! Zod shouted, realizing what was happening. He and the other escaped prisoners who had made it through rushed toward the failing portal, attempting to stabilize it from their side. Wei Big generated a cosmic ray from the fin on his head, directing it into the heart of the destabilizing portal. The dimensional energy reacted violently, creating a massive feedback loop that began pulling everything back in, including the villains who had escaped. "This isn't over, Tennyson." Vilgax roared as he activated his own teleportation device, disappearing in a flash of light. Luther, seeing the imminent collapse of their plan, triggered an emergency evacuation protocol in his battle suit, blasting his way out through a wall. Brainiac remained the longest, continuing to collect data even as the portal's collapse became inevitable. Fascinating. The adaptive capabilities of the Omnitrix exceed theoretical parameters. Superman, recovered from the kryptonite exposure, flew up to confront Zod as the general fought against the portal's pull. "Back where you belong, Zod. This isn't victory, Kal-El." Zod snarled. "Merely a postponement." The portal's pull increased, finally dragging him and the other escaped prisoners back into the dimensional void. Brainiac, at the last possible moment, initiated his own escape sequence, his body dissolving into data that streamed away through STR Labs' computer systems. With a final, thunderous implosion, the portal collapsed entirely, leaving only destruction in its wake. Wei Big carefully extracted himself from the building, stepping back to assess the damage he'd caused. Several floors of STR Labs were now open to the night sky, though fortunately, the building's structural integrity had held. In a flash of red light, Ben transformed back to his human form on the street outside, immediately surrounded by the Justice League members who had regrouped. "That," Flash declared, "was possibly the most awesome thing I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of awesome things." Ben grinned despite his exhaustion. Wei Big tends to make an impression. Batman was already assessing the aftermath with his typical efficiency. Vilgax, Luther, and Brainiac escaped. But the portal is destroyed, and the prisoners have been returned to their respective dimensional prisons. "For now," Superman added grimly. "But they'll try again." "Maybe," Ben acknowledged. "But next time, you'll be ready for them. And I'll be ready in my universe." Wonder Woman placed a hand on his shoulder. "You fought with the courage and strength of a true Amazon warrior, Ben Tennyson." "Thanks," Ben replied, genuinely touched by the compliment. "That means a lot coming from you." Cyborg, who had been scanning the dimensional residue, reported, "The breach is completely sealed. No trace of active dimensional energy remains." "Perfect timing," a new voice announced. They turned to see Dr. Fate hovering above the street, his golden helmet gleaming in the moonlight. "The preparations for Ben's return journey are complete." Ben felt a strange mix of emotions at the news. Relief that he would soon be going home, but also a surprising reluctance to leave these new allies who had become friends in such a short time. "So soon?" Flash asked, clearly disappointed. "I was hoping we'd have time for one more team-up." "The dimensional fractures continue to widen," Fate explained. "We must act quickly to return Ben to his proper universe before permanent damage occurs." Batman nodded. "We should return to the Hall of Justice immediately." As they prepared to depart, Ben took one last look at the damaged STR Labs building. His brief time in the DC universe had been filled with more danger and excitement than he could have imagined, but also with valuable lessons and new friendships. Whatever happened next, he would carry this experience with him. Back at the Hall of Justice, Dr. Fate had prepared the ritual that would send Ben home. A complex array of mystical symbols covered the floor of the main chamber, glowing with arcane energy. Zatanna, the League's other primary magic user, worked alongside Fate to stabilize the spell. "The dimensional coordinates have been precisely calculated," Fate explained to the assembled heroes. "This spell will create a targeted aperture that returns Ben exactly to the moment and location from which he was taken." "So no time will have passed in my universe?" Ben asked, surprised. "Correct," Zatanna confirmed. "To your friends and family, it will be as if you never left." Ben thought about this. All his experiences here, the battles fought, the lessons learned. And no one at home would know any of it had happened. It seemed strange, almost unfair somehow. What about Vilgax? He asked. He came through the same portal I did. Will he go back too? The spell is keyed to your specific dimensional frequency, Fate explained. And the Omnitrix provides a perfect anchor point. Vilgax would require his own portal to return. Which means he might still be here, in this universe, Batman concluded. Along with Brainiac and Luthor. Superman stepped forward. We'll handle them, Ben. You have my word. Ben nodded, trusting the Man of Steel's promise. And if they ever find a way to my universe? We'll find a way to warn you, Cyborg assured him. I've been studying the dimensional frequencies. It might be possible to establish limited communication in the future. The time for goodbyes had come. One by one, the League members approached Ben to offer farewells and words of encouragement. Flash sipped up first, offering a hand to shake. It's been real, kid. You know, for an interdimensional visitor with a weird watch, you're pretty cool. Ben laughed, shaking his hand. Thanks. Coming from the fastest man alive, that's high praise. Green Lantern was next. The Guardians would be impressed with how you use that device. Responsibility, creativity, courage, all the qualities of a good lantern. Maybe in another life, Ben replied with a smile. Wonder Woman clasped his forearm in a warrior's grip. May the gods watch over you, Ben Tennyson. You have the heart of a true hero. That means a lot, Ben said sincerely. I won't forget what you taught me about what it means to be a hero. Cyborg offered a fist bump. Stay tech-savvy, man. And keep pushing the limits of what that watch can do. You've barely scratched the surface of its capabilities. Working on it, Ben assured him, returning the fist bump. Batman approached last, his expression as stoic as ever. You handled yourself well, Ben. Not many could face what you did with such adaptability and courage. Coming from Batman, the compliment meant everything. Ben nodded, unable to find adequate words of thanks. Superman stepped forward once more. The Justice League will remember your help, Ben Tennyson. If you ever find your way back to our universe, you'll always have a place among us. I'd like that, Ben replied, genuinely moved. And hey, maybe someday you guys will visit my universe. Fair warning though, the smoothies aren't as good. This drew laughter from several of the heroes, lightening the mood momentarily. But the time had come. Dr. Fate and Zatanna took their positions at opposite sides of the mystical array. Stand in the center, Fate instructed Ben. The Omnitrix will serve as both anchor and key. Ben moved to the designated spot, taking one last look around at the heroes gathered to see him off. It felt strange, leaving friends who existed in comic books in his world, people who had been fictional characters to him just days ago but were now very real allies and comrades. Ready when you are, he said to Fate, straightening his shoulders. Zatanna began the incantation, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air. Nepo 8 Yotap Nuteb Stluro. Nruder 8 Rirabefo. Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Write the next chapter right after this. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.